this is what happens when you're 13. You don't know what your body's going through, and we've all had to adapt to it. Men have also had to adapt to it. I'm not saying that. Hopefully this film does resonate with you. Hey guys, welcome back to Canada Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today, I will be reviewing the new Pixar film, Turning Red. And now I want to give a huge shout out to Disney for giving me the opportunity to watch this early so I can review it and tell you guys to watch it on Disney Plus March 11th. It is fun for the whole family, but more importantly, this film is geared towards young women, towards 13-year-old girls who are trying to figure out what's happening to their bodies, that they're going through puberty, their hormones are out of whack, and they just want to be their own independent woman. And maybe at 13, it's a bit too young, but it's not too young to develop into your own person. And then that's what the center of the messaging is for Turning Red. Apart from the fact that this movie takes place in my hometown of Toronto, seeing that skyline, seeing the CN Tower, just basically the downtown area, the suburban homes, everything in the way that it was constructed just felt like home. And that's the first time that I've ever felt that. And it's awesome because it's in a Pixar movie. It's so great that it's in a Pixar movie. So that really warmed my heart. On top of that, we are throwing it back. We're hitting that nostalgia with like early 2000s music, especially with the boy band aesthetic with Four Town, really reminding me of the Backstreet Boys and how I used to jam out to them. So that was just added on to this. We have Mei Li, voiced by the beautiful Rosalie Chiang, and she did a phenomenal job. Her voice matching with Mei Li, making it her own. The visuals, this animation is so beautiful. And like, really, do we expect any less from Pixar? We get a sprinkle of anime that comes in when Mei Li and her friends are kind of exploding with excitement, or they're, in love with something. It's just really cute the way they did that. It's really nice how they flowed between different animation styles, just made it a bit different, more unique. And that's what makes Turning Red special. So we have 13-year-old Mei Li, and she wants to become her own person. She is an only child, and she has her best friends that kind of know her better than her own mother does. And her mother, Ming Li, voiced by Canada's own Sandra Oh, who was fantastic. She's kind of overbearing, overprotective, very strict, keeps her in line, and kind of molds her into this perfect daughter, and, has a perception of who she wants her daughter to be instead of really looking at who she is. So for me, this really hit emotionally for me. It's such a personal journey that I went on, and to see that in Mei Li and see that on screen in a film that talks about coming of age, that shows, different stages of puberty and how hormones are just all over the place while trying to break free from the mold that you have been kind of cocooned in since you were born, is something that I've personally gone through. And I love my mom. I really do. And I'm excited to watch this with her because there are some really key emotional moments that hit in this movie that only daughters, mothers, aunts, grandmothers will be able to understand, but it is geared towards women, towards 3 generations of women. And I just really love how there are beautiful moments between Ming Li and Mei Li showing each other's weaknesses and showing each other's strengths. And they're both very different, so they end up helping each other. And I think that's the most beautiful thing, because we forget that as we grow older, we can have relationships with our mothers, with our grandmothers. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're still taking care of you. And they can still learn something from the younger generation, which I really love. And like, I have that with my mother and both of my grandmothers, with my aunts, close friends of my mom's that have been maternal figures for me as well growing up. So you develop a friendship because you turn into a woman. And I think that's just so beautiful that we have different stages to explore our relationships with a woman in our lives and how it ultimately changes. And we end up teaching them something as much as they have taught us, and we've learned so much from them. So I really respect Turning Red and how layered it is in trying to show the relationships between these women. Now that I just went off on a tangent on how important the messaging is in this film and how much it hit me emotionally, I thought it was just so well done. This film uses the lore of the red panda that is passed down through each generation of women as a symbol of menstruation, as a symbol of puberty. And I think that it was just so well done and fun. And you had so much to do with the animation to kind of show this is what happens when you're 13. You don't know what your body's going through, and we've all had to adapt to it. Men have also had to adapt to it. I'm not saying that. Hopefully this film does resonate with you, but the focus is on a 13-year-old girl who has this red panda come out of her and like change into this red panda when she's mad, when she's sad, when she's upset, when she's frustrated, when she's embarrassed, which also plays into mental health because of the anxiety that comes into play, the paranoia, the level of sadness that she has at that age. Your hormones are all out of whack, and it doesn't get better, to be perfectly honest. It's really hard to hone in on your hormones. And I do think that this film did a great job. Domi Shi really constructed this in a way that you could understand the surface level of the story of like, oh, it's just a red panda. Like the kids will understand that it's like a red panda, but then for the adults that are watching it, they're like, oh my God, this is literally what it means to go through puberty. And they make that connection. So to have something like this at such a young age is something I wish I had. Of course, there are plenty of coming of age films, but animated films tackling coming of age in this way, I think is really important. And I think Pixar really took a risk with Turning Red, and a lot of people aren't going to like it. I have a feeling that a lot of men are going to be turned off from this, and that's okay. I just think that this was a massive risk for Pixar to focus on a 13-year-old girl who just wants to go to their first concert and who wants to like doodle in their notebook about this guy they're fantasizing about, and they have no idea what they're feeling because they've never felt any of this before. It's kind of like fan fiction, or you're drawing fan art, and I really love that they tapped into that because it's true. It's true. Girls do that. Girls talk about that stuff. And that's great that they show that on screen. The panda, the beautiful, fun, hilarious red panda is probably one of the cutest things I've ever seen. And to just watch the red panda as Mei Li go through her own frustrations and her own journey in this movie, all just to go watch Four Town in concert with her best friends, I thought was really fun. Again, not the greatest storyline to follow. It's very, very linear, very simple, but it's the messaging that kicks in halfway through. It's the way that it shows women and how their best friends truly know them. They're their sisters. Not that mothers necessarily don't know their daughters or know their sons or know their child. It's the fact that there's always going to be a different side to them that their friends only get to know. So I thought that that was another side of this, because Mei Li uses her friends as a way to even calm her down because they know her. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing, because sometimes kids feel like they can't talk to their parents because of how strict they are. So they look to other people to kind of find someone to confide in. And I think that that's really strong to see as well on screen, to teach kids that your friends are the ones that you should keep around, the ones you can trust, and tell them how you're feeling, and hopefully they can help you out, because friendship is very important. So there's so many things that Turning Red does teach you. Again, the animation just adds so much to this journey, adds a lot to the story. I'm just thrilled that this movie exists for young girls and for moms. The ending did make me cry just because there's such a beautiful moment between Mei Li and Ming Li. I did give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's a strong movie. I enjoyed it. It's really important for young girls to watch, for moms to watch as well. My only issue with Turning Red is that it did drag on at points. The pacing was a bit rough for me. I felt like there was some dead space where they could have picked it up a bit, maybe made it a bit tighter, or else I thought the humor was great. There are some like cringe moments where you get secondhand embarrassment that makes you nervous laugh, which just adds to how awkward teenagers are. So I thought that was really well done. And it's just really cute. So if you guys enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.